What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. So we now have Nancy Pelosi having a full-blown meltdown live on CNN after President Trump just requested an investigation and possible prosecution of Nancy Pelosi for illegal insider trading, guys, and I'm excited to get into this one, so we're not hop straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be.
Why should they?
Because this is a free market and people, we're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
The Wolf of Washington could be in big trouble. Investigators might finally get a peek inside Nancy and Paulie P's earnings sheets.
Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street. It happened she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made.
Nancy heard the news and ran to CNN on a busted hip, but Tapper treated her like Biden on debate night.
Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is.
I'm not into it. My husband is. So Paulie P's in Napa, a Wall Street whiz kid, and his wife knows nada? If pillows could talk. Meanwhile, the Senate's suiting up too. They just advanced an anti-stock trading bill for Congress, but Trump's not pleased. He says, why would one Republican, Josh Hawley, side with Democrats to block a review of the bill? It's a great bill for Nancy and her, quote, husband, but bad for our country. Trump even gave Hawley a new nickname, second-tier senator. Josh Hawley joins me now. Are you a second-tier senator?
Well, that's not the worst thing that's been said about me even today, Jesse. So listen, I had a good chat with the president earlier this evening, and he reiterated to me he wants to see a ban on stock trading by people like Nancy Pelosi and members of Congress, which is what we passed today. I think it is absolutely vital we put a stop to this. Pelosi shouldn't just be investigated. She should be prosecuted. And we need to make what she is doing and other members of Congress is doing illegal. I mean, you shouldn't be able to go up to Congress and get rich by trading on information that only you have and not members of the public. Right now, lots of members of Congress are getting by with it. We need to make the whole thing illegal.
So when you spoke to the president, did he explain why he called you second tier?
Well, I think that the president, a number of people who are opposed to banning stock trading had said to the president that he would be covered by the bill. He'd have to sell Mar-a-Lago and sell assets. Not the case at all. The president and the vice president, all their assets are totally exempted. And here's the point. This is what we talked about. The point of this bill is to ban members of Congress from trading on the information that only they have. I've supported this bill for years, Jesse. I think we call it the Pelosi Act. It is named for her because she is the poster child of this kind of behavior. It ought to be illegal and it ought to be prosecutable.
So what Pelosi will say is that she doesn't manage any money. Her husband manages the money. Her husband makes the trades, and she has nothing to do with it. Does this bill have a loophole that she can exploit again?
Yeah, no, in fact, this bill will cover not only her, it will cover her husband. And the point is, we need to make it illegal for people to do this kind of thing. 86% of Americans look at stock trading by members of the Congress and they say, we ought to ban that. They can't believe it's not been banned already. Nobody should be up in Congress making a quick buck day trading when they should be doing the people's business. The president wants a stock trading ban. I want a stock trading ban. It's time to get it done.
All right, guys. So it sounds like Trump has got the ball rolling on this Nancy Pelosi investigation and possible prosecution. It's got the internet buzzing. Actually got our friend Tim Kaz here weighing in on the whole Nancy Pelosi situation. Her trying to just brush off the question from Jake Tapper, saying, hey, this is CNN. We should not be talking about this. Let's talk about something more favorable to me.
I love how Newsweek says she just brushed off insider trading accusation. No, she actually got pretty heated there. Asked him why he was asking her about it. Said, can we just drop this and move on? There's a reason they call it the Pelosi Act. She says, I'm not into that. My husband's into that. Oh, boy. Look at the Nancy Pelosi net worth. Welcome, my friends, to quiverquant.com. And we call this the Pelosi strategy. Copy Nancy Pelosi's trades. You know, I'm going to do this. She's, as of 2014, she's up 731%. Man, for real? Yo, that's crazy. So if I were to put my money in, that's better. Is that, wow. That's 100 times the average return. If you're going like, look at this. The market index SPY is plus 237. Okay, so it's up quite a bit in 10 years. She's up 731. That's amazing. She got a current net worth of $261 million. And she says, that's my husband. I'm not into that. Oh, yeah, lady. So your husband just happened to know to invest in these companies like NVIDIA right before they're about to skyrocket. Now, maybe he's got other privy information or whatever. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, it's real simple. Because it ain't just Nancy Pelosi. It is all of them. It's all of them.
And now with this investigation and possible prosecution of Nancy Pelosi now on the table, it's got me doing a little bit of thinking and wondering, looking back in time, all the times that Nancy Pelosi called for the arrest, removal of President Donald Trump, maybe this right here is why she didn't want this day to come.
Tonight, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi escalating her war of words against the president. Politico reporting that during a meeting Tuesday, she was pressed by Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler to start impeachment proceedings. NBC News has learned from a congressional source in the room, Pelosi then said about the president, I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison. Pelosi has indicated she wants the president prosecuted after leaving office. Pelosi is facing pushback from a growing number of Democrats calling for an impeachment inquiry, up to 60 House members. But Pelosi insists it's too soon.
We're following the facts. We'll take them where they lead us.
According to Politico, Judiciary Chairman Nadler told some Democrats he might subpoena Robert Mueller in the next 2 weeks. Nadler has said he's confident Mueller will come in soon, but it will be behind closed doors.
So as we look back and reflect on the statements from Nancy Pelosi, she's been wanting to silence President Donald Trump for a very long time. She said she didn't want to see him impeached. She wanted to see him in prison where his word would mean nothing. And here is why we got the lovely White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, breaking it down, the inconsistencies of Nancy Pelosi's annual salary versus her net worth. It's astounding.
Have you talked with the president about his position on the stock trading ban bill before Congress? He obviously had pretty loaded comments about Senator Hawley. There's some reporting that they've since spoken. What is his position on the current status of that bill?
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he of course supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves. And the reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
So it's really happening. The ball is now rolling. That spotlight is on Nancy Pelosi. I mean, we're talking about a person who banks in $174K annually, but somehow has a net worth of $413 million. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, this new math is not mathing for me. I may need to go back to school because I just can't comprehend how she's getting such a return unless she is insider trading, which we all know is the case. And then we got another interesting tweet. This one coming from C3 on X. And this is Senator Josh Hawley, who proposed the Nancy Pelosi bill, the anti-stock trading bill, absolutely going off on Nancy Pelosi's 720% return on her stock picks over the last 10 years. And then continued on saying, let's see those types of returns after something like the Pelosi Act passes.
Chairman Paul, let me just say that we have an opportunity here today to do something that the public has wanted us to do for decades, and that is to ban members of Congress from profiting on information that, frankly, only members of Congress have in the buying and selling of stock. 86% of Americans say that members of Congress should not be able to buy and sell shares of stock, individual stock, while they are members of this body, and they are absolutely correct. And the reason is, you can see it, there was just another ethics referral in the House last week. We've seen the former Speaker of the House make millions of dollars in profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all of this is that, quite frankly, members of this body are privy to information that the normal person just is not. Now, is that insider trading? It is not under the laws. Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engage in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not. And so when you look at what members of Congress are privy to, what they are able to trade on, the access that they have, it's just qualitatively different than your average Joe or Jane, which is why we ought to put into place common sense guardrails that say, if you want to be a member of Congress, you can put you want to save, great. You can buy mutual funds, you can buy broadly diversified investment vehicles. You should not be able to buy and trade individual stock shares in which, frankly, we have an interest in the work that we do. We have information that no other people get, no other members of the public have. This bill would finally redress that. It is in substance identical to the bill that the committee passed last year. And I believe it is a huge step forward in finally addressing this problem. I urge a yes.
All right, so this thing is getting out of hand. The guardrails definitely need to come up to stop Nancy Pelosi from enriching herself through her public servant office with those insider trade secrets. I found this clip. I found it quite funny. It actually tickled me. This guy dressed up and acted like a dim so that he could get close to Nancy Pelosi. And then once he got close, he started asking her for stock tips, and her bodyguards physically threw him out of the building. Then they continued on saying that I thought Nancy wanted to help everyone spread the wealth. Check this out.
For Donald Trump to actually spend the rest of his life in prison, that's the only hope for democracy. Win the election. We do. Well, Nancy, listen. Last question. What stocks should I buy? Nancy, you're the greatest options trader of all time. I just want to know what stocks I should buy. But I just want to know, like, income inequality is their biggest concern. But the police are implementing the institution of white supremacy and racism. I don't understand why they are even here at all. They should be defunded. I just want to know, she makes 6 figures a year in Congress and has a $100 million net worth. Don't y'all want to know what stocks she should buy? Come on. No way. I just want to know. I want to know what stocks to buy. I want to close the wealth gap. What's the problem? No way. I just want to close the wealth gap. Nancy Pelosi, she's the greatest options trader of all time.
Oh my goodness, this guy just wants to close the wealth gap. What's the problem with it, Nancy? Answer a few questions. What stocks should we buy since you know? Just lead the way for us. Let's close that wealth gap. That one definitely tickled me. Then we got Chicago One Ray with another very interesting tweet. This is News Nation actually breaking down how you could follow Nancy Pelosi and the stocks that she's currently trading. I want you guys to see this.
Day, Nancy and Paul Pelosi made a whopping $38 million in stock trades. The question now is how and why? Now, obviously, Paul Pelosi doesn't serve on Capitol Hill. Because he's married to former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, they're required to disclose their collective stock trades. And Paul seems to have a real knack for it. On December 31st, 2024, he sold $24 million worth of Apple stock. And on the same day, he also sold $5 million worth of artificial intelligence computer chip maker NVIDIA. Stock was 138, so Pelosi sells $5 million worth of stock. Today, less than a month later, it's closed at 118, a 13% drop since Pelosi unloaded. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Apparently, the stock trading prowess of the Pelosi family is so widely known that there is an X account called the Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker. Close to 900,000 followers can keep tabs on what the Pelosis are buying and selling, presumably in order to copycat their own way to financial success. And that could be making the Pelosi trades have even more of an impact on the market. Nancy Pelosi's been asked a number of times over the years whether members of Congress and their spouses investing in the market is a sort of conflict of interest.
You can now follow Nancy Pelosi and the stocks that she's trading just based off this X profile, and they just kind of keep up to date with the stocks that Nancy is trading. Actually, very interesting things. They also tweet memes of Nancy Pelosi, and this is apparently the current mood in DC, especially with the Pelosi household with this new Pelosi Act or a Pelosi bill on the table. She's very upset. I would be upset too if I couldn't 700x my portfolio anymore through my public servant office. And then I wanted to flash back. I found this tweet. It's actually interesting as to why President Trump may have been opposed to the bill proposed by Senator Josh Hawley originally. It's because politicians, or it's said that politicians or anyone looking to run who own a private company with more than 1,200 employees would be forced to divest. And that's why it's partly getting the news.
I just want to correct that Senator Scott said that if you have a small business, you'd be forced to sell it. Small businesses are explicitly exempted under this bill to 1,200 employees. They are not covered. If you have a small business, you can maintain your ownership in that business throughout the entire time. And I don't mind anybody being rich. What I mind is people getting rich while they're here trading stock, which I think we can all agree on. And this bill would put a stop to.
So 1,200 employees. I had one company with 285,000 employees. That was publicly traded, but when it was private, it was not liquid. I had a variety of manufacturing companies that had a lot of employees. That stock was illiquid. I mean, if any of you bought and sold companies, you do not have, oh, somebody's going to buy today. I know I can walk out the door and there'll be somebody to buy the company. So we're going to make people sell things when it might be an absolute worst time to sell something. And they busted their butt to go build that business, and then they want to come up here and serve, and then we say, well, you got to give up your net worth. That's wrong.
Okay, so I could definitely see why folks were slightly opposed to this bill. At first, seeing that you would have to, sell something that you worked so hard for, especially in an inopportune time when the market's not in your favor. President Trump saying this and shooting it down. Maybe with a couple revisions, this bill could get passed, though, and stop folks like Nancy Pelosi from enriching themselves through that public servant office. And then we got Nancy Pelosi actually speaking after President Trump came out and called for her arrest and investigation. Let's see what she had to say. She also touches on the Pelosi Act. She starts by saying, quote, "We must have a strong transparency, robust accountability, and tough enforcement for financial conduct in office because the American people deserve confidence that their elected leaders are serving the public interest, not their personal portfolios. If legislation is advanced to help restore trust in government and ensure that those in power are held to the highest ethical standards, then I am proud to support it, no matter what they decide to name it." While I appreciate the creativity of my Republican colleagues in drafting legislation acronyms, I welcome any serious effort to raise ethical standards in public service. The Honest Act, as amended, rightly applies its stock trading ban not only to members of Congress, but now to the president and vice president as well. I strongly support this legislation and look forward to voting for it on the floor of the House. Okay, so Nancy Pelosi is now in agreement saying, hey, if we have to do it, might as well do it now. I mean, I've got the going was good a long time ago. I've got everything that I was going to get. Me and my husband, Paulie P, we're all right. We're going to do okay. Even if this bill gets passed, we can see Nancy Pelosi. She doesn't care. She's got all her money that she needs. I mean, someone who is 700x their portfolio, they're not worried about some silly bill passing. Nancy Pelosi has already done the worst of it. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. Talk about a full-blown meltdown live on CNN coming from Nancy Pelosi. Just when she thought those folks on the left-wing media outlets were on her side, they show her that they have a little bit of cleaning up to do, especially that Jake Tapper. He's fighting very hard to get back in the good grace of President Donald Trump. First, he released the book. Now he's pressing Nancy Pelosi on her insider trade secrets. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. Nancy Pelosi, I can't wait to see where this thing progresses. Hopefully, President Donald Trump actually, demands. He orders the DOJ to investigate and hopefully prosecute the crimes of Nancy Pelosi. Not only her, but her husband as well, because that's the one who she keeps saying is actually in favor or interesting in trading stocks. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm not going to hold my breath. We've seen folks getting away with this time and time again, especially Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is the queen of insider trade deals. So we'll see what happens there. Definitely will cover that all here with your boy RetroStef. But guys, definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. And I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week.